Pregame.com.
Welcome back to Pregame.tv. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio, Ken Thomson, SportsX Radio here in Las Vegas. Brian Leonard took the night off. He is down at the LVH, eagerly awaiting them to post the props, and he'll be knocking people out of line, trying to get up there and grab those soft numbers on those opening props here in Vegas for the Super Bowl. We're going to preview Friday night NBA action, Indiana at Sacramento. Ken, this will be my free pick, so I'm going to just give you a couple tidbits to start with, and I'll kick it to you before I make it official. But Indiana, great story so far this year, playing super basketball. Now, they got it handed to them in their last game, but, you know, it's a long NBA season, scheduling situations, and they were coming off of 3 big games in a row. They played the Knicks 3 back, and I know the Knicks aren't, you know, that good this year, but it's still the Knicks. And there's the playoff history, you know, the little chippy series they had last year. And then they played the Clippers, one of the elite teams in the NBA, and then go on the road and play Golden State. So it was a situation in their last game. They go into Phoenix last night, or Wednesday, or we're taping on Thursday, Wednesday night, and Phoenix just came out running, and they went up and down the floor on them. And Indiana, you know, great defense, but they didn't have it last night. They got beat 124-100.
Yeah, Phoenix is a fun story. I mean, here's a kid. I love Dragic. He plays hard every night, night in, night out. George Hill, going back to Indiana, is a big part of that team. Paul George has been outstanding. He's been consistent, and they've been consistent, and they've been just about unbeatable at home. So they are right now that team. I know a lot of people say, well, they're the favorite. Let's remember, Miami could drop 3 or 4 or 5 out of 6. When it comes playoff time, they're a different animal because they do have that experience. But I think that Indiana is getting closer, and it's going to be interesting, and I expect both those two teams to be in the finals of the Eastern Conference.
If it's going to happen, you know, I've always said it, the NBA is a process. You've got to pay your dues. It's like a team starts to learn how to win, then they make the playoffs, then, you know, they get knocked out in the first round, then the next year they come back and, you know, go a little deeper. And if that's the schedule, Indiana's on pace. This is supposed to be their year because they've given Miami fits the last 2 years in their series. They come up short both times, but last year they stretched them a little bit farther, and, you know, the gap definitely is narrowing between the two.
Well, you mentioned my Knicks, and of course, all that scenario sounds right, except for the Knicks. Make the playoffs and then take 10 steps back. I mean, it is so frustrating being a Knicks fan, but it is a lot of fun for Indiana Pacers fans because this has been a proud organization, and they've had their peaks and valleys. But I know Reggie Miller, when he's doing the color commentating and Indiana's pounding the Knicks, he's just loving life, man. It's good stuff. They deserve it. The way that they've run that organization has pretty much been, you know, good from the start. They have a good, solid young coach. They've got the right players. I love Hibbert in the paint. So they've got the big man. They've got, you know, their star now. Paul George has emerged as one of those superstars. And the great thing with Paul George, like all the great ones, like Michael Jordan, like all these guys that continue to get better and better, even though they have stardom written all over them, is he continues to work on the areas that he may feel that he's deficient. He's not deficient in the league or anybody else's eyes, but he may find, I need to work on this a little bit more. And he's still one of the first guys to the gym, one of the last guys to leave.
And when you can play defense the way they can, that's going to keep you in ball games if you have an off night shooting. But you know what? This is my free pick. Let's go ahead and make it official.
All righty.
All right, as I said, Indiana, they're out on this road trip, and last night, Wednesday night, when they played in Phoenix, I just think they came up flat, looked past Phoenix. They had come off a series of big games, and Phoenix playing at home. Phoenix has played well this season at times, and they were able to move the ball up and down the floor. In Indiana, that's not their pace. They don't like to play that style, and generally, they're able to dictate the tempo of a game, but last night wasn't the case. Now, on Friday night, I think it'll be a different story for a couple reasons. One, you know that after that lackluster performance on Wednesday, Indiana's going to come to play on Friday night. That spells bad news for Sacramento. Also, Sacramento is returning home off of a long road trip. You know, one of my favorite scenarios is I like to buck a team that first game back at home, especially when it was a long road trip. In this road trip, for Sacramento. They played several road games in a row in a short period of time. They had a 6-game road trip where they played in 9 days. That's 6 different cities in a 9-day period. Now you return home, and when you return home, the reason teams are sluggish in that first game is these guys are human beings. They've got families, wives, kids, the whole 9 yards. And when you're on the road for that period of time, you come home, you got some things you got to take care of. And being that they just returned home, they played Wednesday, got back on Thursday, and then have to turn around and play on Friday, I don't think you're going to see the best effort out of Sacramento. You add that up with, you're going to get a big effort out of Indiana. I think we've got a great situation to take the road team here and lay the lumber, and I look for Indiana to win this one by 11 to 13 points. Now, we're taping on Thursday, and currently there is no line on this game as we speak, but as long as that line comes out under the 11 to 13 points that I'm projecting, we've got to play, and it will come out under that. Take Indiana minus the points on Friday night. Now, we're going to be back for a Saturday college basketball game. We're going to take a look at my man Ken sending me down to the Ohio Valley Conference. And we're going to take a look at Eastern Kentucky and Belmont. That's up next. Pregame.tv.